Hello everyone, this is SMD Mazharul Haq, Assistant Professor, Triply Department, ISL Engineering College. I am dealing the subject electrical measurements and instrumentation, and today's topic is about Western type synchroscope. And also, after having a synchroscope, we will study about the different types of errors in the electrical measurements. So let's begin. Electrodynamometer type synchroscope or Western synchroscope. So the Western type synchroscope, which we also refer to as electrodynamometer type synchroscope, is a type of dynamometer type instrument. So we can see the figure here for the electrodynamometer type synchroscope. Here the RYB, that is red, yellow, blue color wires are connected to the this particular core here. You can see that there is a core, as well as you will be seeing this particular core has a winding from yellow and blue, and also we will have the load connected to the mid limb. Here central limb is connected to a bulb, that is a load, as well as this is the other side of the limb, this particular core you are having connected to the blue and yellow side. And you can see that you are also having this particular fixed coil as well as moving coil. The fixed coil is connected to the blue color wire here, and this is the calibration, or we can say that it is the movement of the arrow here, or the pointer that is moving, and if it is moving faster or slower, it is indicated here. And the moving coil is connected to the blue and yellow two terminals, and fixed coil is connected to the blue terminal here, you can see here. And you also having the fixed coil, other end is connected to the yellow color. So one end is connected to blue and other is connected to yellow, that is B and Y phase, we can say B phase and Y phase here, and here we are connected to the blue and yellow, that is B and Y phase. So we are having three phases R, Y, B. So for any two phases we are connecting the fixed coil as well as the moving coil, and that R is here, RYB is there, and so you can see that red is not having any connection here. So for the two phases, that is Y and B, they are connected to the limbs as well as to the load, and we are seeing that this moving coil and fixed coil are also connected in this way. So this construction of Western type synchroscope, it consists of lamp transformer. As we have seen, the lamp transformer is a kind of transformer which has three limbs, magnetic core. We connect the winding of one of the outer limbs between any two phases of the existing electric system. As just now we have said that we have connected to the Y and B phase, that is the two phases of the electric system, and we are having three limbs here. Two limbs are connected to the Y and B phase, and central limb is connected to the lamp already. So this is the construction type, and then if we connect the winding of the other outer limbs across the same two phases of incoming generator, we connect an electrical lamp with the winding of the central limb. The flux of the two outer limbs flows through the central limb. Therefore, the resultant flux in the central limb is the phasor sum of the flux of the two outer limbs. So you can understand here that the resultant flux in the central limb is a phasor sum of the flux of two outer limbs. So the resultant flux induces an EMF across the winding of the central limbs. As a result of an induced EMF, the lamp glows, but the brightness of glowing lamp depends on the strength of the resultant flux. So the resultant flux is nothing but the flux that is being induced in the central limb from the other two limbs that are having outer, that are called as outer limbs. Now we turn the winding of outer limbs in such direction that in normal working condition the resultant flux of the central limb is additive of the flux of the two outer limbs. So it is already seen that the winding of outer limbs is in direction that is normal working condition, the resultant flux of central limb is additive of the flux of the two outer limbs. Now we will go to the working of electrodynamometer type synchroscope. Suppose at a certain condition there is no phase difference between the existing electric system and the incoming generator. So at that time resultant flux will be maximum at the central limb. So therefore the lamp glows with its maximum brightness. If the phase difference between the existing electrical system and generator is 180 degrees, that is electrical angle, there will be zero flux in the central limb of the core. The Western type synchroscope, therefore the lamp does not glow at all. That means that whenever the flux is maximum, the lamp glows, and whenever the flux is not there, the lamp will not glow. The meaning of this is it should be in such a way that the angle, electrical angle should be such that whenever the flux is maximum, the lamp also glows to its maximum extent. So but an intermediate phase difference between these two systems, the bulb will glow with a certain brightness. As I said already that when the bulb glows with a certain brightness, it is not having maximum flux. If it is glowing with a maximum brightness, it is having maximum flux. If the frequency of those two systems differ, the bulb will flicker. The frequency of the flickering is exactly equal to the difference of the frequency of this existing electrical system and the incoming generator. At the time of synchronism, the flickering of the lamp becomes very slow. To correct the instant of switching on incoming generator, the brightness of lamps becomes maximum. The drawbacks of Western type synchronoscope are that there is a major drawback in Western type synchronoscope, that it does not tell us whether the incoming generator is running faster or slower. So we can overcome the difficulty by connecting a dynamometer type instrument along with the lamp transformer in the electrodynamometer type synchronoscope. So here comes the dynamometer type instrument. By connecting this to that Western type synchronoscope, we are able to know that how fast or slow it is moving, depending on for the generator is moving, we can know here. So already I have shown the indication here how fast and slow it is moving here. This indication shows you the slow and fast movement. Coming back, this instrument does have a coil divided into two equal parts. So this is nothing but it is having electrodynamometer type instrument as well as a synchronoscope. So the second instrument, which is nothing but a electrodynamometer instrument, is into two equal parts. We connect the coil across the same two phases of the incoming generator along with the resistance and inductance in series with it. Then we place the moving coil at the center of the space between two halves of the fixed coil, as I have shown already. Then we connect the moving coil across the two same phases, and we see that along with the capacitor in series with it. So here we can see that we are having an inductance as well as capacitance, and also we have seen that it is in the quadrature. When the voltage of two systems are in phase, they are in quadrature. When there is no phase difference between the existing electrical system and the incoming generator, the currents in the moving coil and the fixed coil are in quadrature. Therefore, there will be no torque acting on the moving coil of the electrodynamometer type instrument. So, if there is no phase difference, means there is no torque. When there is no phase difference between existing electrical system and incoming generator, the currents in the moving coil and fixed coil are in quadrature. Therefore, there will be no torque acting on the moving coil of the electrodynamometer type instrument. Therefore, the pointer will remain stationary to indicate the synchronism condition. At the same time, the flux in the central limb of the lamp transformer is maximum. Because at that condition, flux of the central limb is simple sum of the flux of two outer limbs. So the lamp glows with its full brightness. This is perfect time for switching the incoming generator to the bus. So whenever the lamp glows with its full brightness, then that time is the correct time to switching the incoming generator to the bus and see that they are in synchronism. Practically, the pointer does not become fully stationary at synchronism, rather it slightly oscillates about the position, but we take as the condition of synchronism there. Now we will talk about the error in measurement. As we already seen about the Western type synchronoscope, and we have seen that how the electrodynamometer type instrument helps the synchronoscope to see that if the incoming generator is connected and how the incoming generator is moving fast or slow, it can be denoted or it can be understood or analyzed by this particular Western type synchronoscope. Now we coming to the errors in the measurements. There are various type of errors in the measurement. One is gross error, other is systematic error, and other one is random, absolute error, and relative error. So total how many? There are 5 types of error in short. There are gross error, systematic error, random error, absolute error, and relative error. We will come to the definition of error. Error is nothing but the difference or deviation from the true value of the measurable quantity. If something is a measurable quantity and there is a deviation from that particular quantity, or there is a difference from that, the difference or deviation from the true value of measurable quantity is called as error. So if you see, come to the percentage error, what is percentage error? The true value minus measured value by true value into 100% gives you the percentage error of this particular formula, that is the true value minus measured value by true value. True value is what we get, and a measure what is the true value and calculated value or measured value is nothing but the value which is being indicated by the instrument. So true value minus measured value by true value into 100% gives you the percentage error. What about the percentage accuracy? So you can see here that the percentage accuracy is also given here, that whatever the accuracy or whatever the error we get, we can calculate the percentage of it. Now if you refer to the circuit below, calculate the error percentage and accurate percentage if meter ampere shows the value of 6 milliamperes. Like you are having some meter measuring here, and you will get some 6 milliamperes in the meter. Find out the error or find out the accurate error, then you can apply these formulas here. So accuracy means 100% minus percentage error gives you the accurate error. So you can apply these two formulas, percentage error as well as accurate error formulas, to get these values. Errors are generally categorized under the following three major headings, that is gross error, systematic error and random errors. So we talk about the gross error. Generally the fault of the person using instrument are such as incorrect reading, incorrect recording, incorrect use, etc. are coming under the gross error. They can be avoided only by taking care in using and reading all the instruments. So if you want to know that what are the errors by the that are being caused by a person, then you can tell that there is a gross error. Generally the fault of person using instruments may be taking some incorrect reading, or some incorrect use of the instrument will be done. Because of that we will getting some error. They can be avoided by taking care and taking some precautions while reading the instruments. Systematic error. Though systematic error is divided into two categories. First one is instrumental error and environmental error. What is instrumental error? Instrumental errors are errors inherent in measuring instruments because of their electrical and mechanical structure. So these are instrumental errors. Example, stretching of a spring is an instrumental error, and instrumental error may be avoided by selecting a suitable instrument for particular measurement application and calibrating the instrument against a standard. So environmental errors are due to condition external to the measuring device, including the conditions like surrounding the area around the instrument, as well as example is temperature, humidity or air pressure, whatever may these three things, these are called environmental errors, which may be hindering with the measuring devices. Now coming to the third error, that is random error. What is a random error? These errors are due to unknown causes and occur when all systematic errors have been accounted, and this variation cannot be corrected by any method of calibration or known method of control. So random errors may be avoided by increasing the number of reading and using statistical means to obtain the best approximation of the true table of a quantity under measurement. So these random errors are nothing but due to occur they cause unknown causes and occur whenever systematic errors have been accounted for. So it is a random one, and we can avoid these random as well as systematic as well as the gross errors by proper responses, as well as by using some precautions we can avoid this. Now coming to the absolute error and relative error. If the resistor is known to have a resistance of 500 ohms with a possible error of plus or minus 50 ohms, then plus or minus 50 ohms is an absolute error. Relative error. The relative error is a percentage or as a fraction of total resistance. So example, measured voltage is equal to 20 volts plus or minus 0.1% is called as relative error. So 20 volts plus or minus 0.02 volts is called as the absolute error here. Plus or minus 0.02 volts or 0.1% type of this error is called as relative error, which is acceptable here. Percentages are usually employed to express errors in the resistance and other the electrical quantities also. So error in measurement. The error in measurement is calculated by yn minus xn. Absolute errors may be defined as the difference between the expected value of the variable and the measured value of the variable. So you can see here E is equals to yn minus xn, where E is the absolute error, yn is the expected value, and xn is the measured value. Coming to the characteristics of measurement. What is the characteristic of measurement? Accuracy, precision and resolution is the characteristics, and another one is significant figure, or all these are the characteristics of measurement. So coming to the first point about accuracy, the degree of exactness of measurement compared to the expected value is called as accuracy. So degree of exactness means how good it is showing the measurement with accuracy is expected from the expected value is called as accuracy. And precision, a measure of consistency or repeatability of the measurement, nothing but a measurement of consistency or repeatability. Like precision means whenever there is some consistency in the measurement without any abrupt increase in the measurement is called as a precision. Well, now according to the resolution, what is the resolution? Definition: the smallest change in the measured quantity that can be observed is called as the resolution. So resolution is nothing but the smallest change in the measured quantity that can be observed. What is significant figure? Coming to the significant figure definition, an indication of the measurement is obtained from the number of significant figures in which the result is expressed. So significant figures convey actual information regarding the magnitude and the measurement precision of the quantity. So you can see here all these are the characteristics of the measurement. And now talking about the measurement standards. What are the measurement standards? So everything has a standard, like that a measurement also a standard. Measurement standards are classified into 4 levels: international standards, primary standards, secondary standards, and working standards. If you come to the measurement standards, that is international standards, primary standards, and secondary as well as working standards, you can see that they are defined by international agreement and are maintained at the International Bureau of Weight and Measure in France. These are accurate and scientifically possible to achieve. They may be used for comparison with primary standard but otherwise unavailable for any application. And primary standards, if you talk about the primary standard, so primary standards are nothing but they are maintained at institutions in various countries around the world, like National Bureau of Standards in Washington, and these are accurate as it is scientifically possible to achieve. So scientifically we are achieving this one because they are being standardized by the some institutes around the world, and they are also constructed for greatest possible accuracy, and their main function is checking the accuracy of the secondary conditions. As we have seen that the primary standard is one of the standard that is being dealt with. And talking about the international standards, these are the international agreements, and these are the International Bureau of Weight and Measurement in France is there, and these are accurate. There are accurate and is scientifically possible to achieve. They are used for comparison with primary standards, but otherwise unable for any applications. So we see the link between the international standard as well as the primary standard. Now we will talk about the secondary standard. What is secondary standard? These are periodically checked at the institutions and maintain primary standards. These are employed in industry as a reference for calibrating high accuracy equipment and component and to verify the accuracy of the working standards. So here this is in industry we are employing this type of extra standards for calibrating higher accuracy equipment and component for verifying the accuracy of the working standards. So you can see here there are standards that are interdependent on each other, that is the primary standard as well as secondary standard is there. Primary standard and international standards are linked, as well as secondary standard and working standards are also linked there. So working standard, the working standards are the principal tools of measurement laboratory, and they are used to check and calibrate general laboratory instruments. We are having laboratory instruments, and we will be having the working standards for those. And these working standards are the principal tools of measurement laboratory, as we said already, that these are used for accuracy and performance to compare measurement of the industrial applications. So measurement in industrial applications should be compared. So for that purpose we are doing the working standards here. So we will come to the summary of this. Coming to the summary, the secondary standards are more accurate than working standard, and they are used throughout the industry for checking the working standards and for calibrating high accuracy equipment. Another one is the primary standards, and they are more accurate than the secondary standards. So here we see the comparison in the first point. Secondary standards are more accurate than working standards, and they are used throughout the industry for checking the working standards, and they are for calibrating high accuracy equipment. So coming to the primary standards are more accurate than the secondary standards. These are maintained to highest possible accuracy by national institutions as a reference for calibrating the secondary standards. So primary means here the primary standards are more accurate than the secondary standards. So we are taking the reference of the primary standards for and its accuracy to the possible accuracy by the national institutions as a reference for calibrating the secondary instruments. So here primary standards are used to calibrate the secondary standards, we can say. So now coming to the last, that is international standards. International standards are maintained by international agreement, and then they can be used for checking the primary standards. So primary standards are also being checked by someone, that is called as international standards. These international standards are checked by the primary standards are checked by the international standards, so that they are having some agreement that they may be used for checking primary standards. So these standards or these particular things are very important, because throughout the world we may be following one type of accuracy, or we may one type of precision can be followed, and the possible accuracy can be maintained by having such institutes there, and some standard for calibrating as well as for measuring. So students, we have seen in this lecture about the measurement in error, as well as the standard that we are using for calculating the measurement, as well as the we are having the errors, how to find out the errors, as well as and how to find out the absolute error. We have seen, and we have seen about the Western type synchroscope, and we have studied a lot about these particular measurements, and what are the types of errors and types of standards used, as well as the Western type synchroscope along with electrodynamometer type synchroscope. So we have seen these things here in this class, and in the next class we will go to other topic. Thank you. So I would like to conclude here and meet in the next class. Thank you very much.